What's up?
Oh shit. Wait.
Okay, waiting, but we're still alive.
Uh Live. I
Okay.
forgot I was interfacing and not SD carding.
Oh wait, yeah, me too. So we are live. I'm not recording my audio. Hang on one sec.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm live recording.
All right. Three, two, one.
You get to see how the sausage is packed. Everyone that tuned in for the first 4 seconds.
And if you're like me, you love watching the sausage get packed.
Indeed. Um, Man, it's been a while. Holidays, family stuff, school.
I
What's
literally
up,
had to dust off my equipment, bro. It's
dude?
really dusty.
Bro, I actually did too, but I didn't dust it. I just looked at all the dust and said, "Wow, that's dusty. I need to
That's
undust."
what I meant. I did wipe the weed crumbs. What do you call those? The weed crumbs off of my mic the end.
Yeah, I did. Like, there's some ketamine dust I put into a line and sucked it up my butt. No, I'm just kidding. I
Can't let
wish
that go to waste.
I wish I had a ketamine plug here.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Almost.
Yeah.
We going for that 1/1/22 drop?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. Uh, it's crazy how long this year's been.
I
Like,
what year? I don't even know
true.
what you're talking about.
This convergence of years. And it's still not over. And not gonna lie, man, I'm pretty proud of how well we've been calling this shit every step of the way.
Yes.
Call us Nostradum and Nostradummer, dude. Oh, it's so stupid.
Nah, that was pretty good.
Thanks, bro. Humor's still bad. Um, I don't like that I can't see your face and that I'm having to look at blonde-haired bread
Matrix, bro.
Matrix man.
I know. I don't know how to. We figured out how to share audio and my screen, but I can't. My camera will only work through the Twitch OBS and not through Zoom. I think. I'm sure there's a way, but
Which amounts to total BS, bro.
yeah. And I'm just staring at you, and you think no one can see you, but our hundreds of
Someone's
thousands of listeners
always
are
watching.
watching you.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's a nice candle you got there.
Thanks, Doc.
Um,
Smokes. It's real smoky.
it's a real smoky candle.
Do you have I told you about this hippie herb that I got?
No.
Okay. So you know how you hear these stories from like the older generation that talks about how much higher weed gets you now than back when they smoked like in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Well, I have living proof of that, man. Like I bought a big wait, no, I didn't. I was
Allegedly in
gifted
Minecraft, you were gifted a thing that may be something.
a big jar of hippie weed fell into my hands. And dude, to get anywhere near a normal session that I'm used to with weed, I have to smoke like two bowls back to back.
And are you,
It's crazy.
it's not old. It's just like an old strain.
No, it's just yeah, it's weed that's grown by legitimate hippies, like that are like have been hippies for a long time
That sounds
and
pretty
grow their own
nice.
weed. No, dude, I've always said I really wish I had a strain of weed that I could roll up and smoke in a joint and just kind of sit on it, chill on it,
Yeah.
and smoke like a cigarette and not get lit out of my mind. I like the difference between this and any other strain that I've smoked is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely have mixed feelings about it, but I'm glad that I have it in my arsenal.
Yeah, it sounds pretty nice. Like a few months back, I had some edibles that, unbeknownst to me, had CBN in it. not CBD, but like a high dose of CBN.
What is that?
I don't know. It's some variant of CBD, but
Cannabinoids.
yeah, and apparently it's like supposed to give you like less paranoia.
Oh,
However,
that sounds nice.
it did not do that for me, but I think probably because I took a dose amount that I'm used to that doesn't have CBD or CBN. Like I didn't realize that it had it in it.
Hmm.
And I was like my wife and I were just like, why the fuck are we so high for so long? What is going on? And then I immediately like resorted to my I'm going schizophrenic phase, which happens now when I do
Oh
drugs.
God.
It's like, oh, I'm schizophrenic and I'm stuck here in my shattered mind palace of a black hole. And it
It's the
just lasted
worst.
like 8 hours, and I was like, I want to kill myself. Oh wait, I'm already dead. This is what being dead is. Being dead is awful. And then I was
Jeez.
like, oh, it's CBN. But everyone I talked to
Huh.
was like, oh, this CBN's great. It doesn't get me paranoid. And I was just kind of like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I thought I was
Have you
going to
smoked
die.
it since?
It was edible. I don't know if you can
Oh,
smoke it. I have no idea.
have you
And
eaten it since?
no, absolutely not. Just like it was like a bad trip. It's like when you do like a a dose of mushrooms that's like just too small to break through, but just big enough to make you like almost get like you get to the doorstep,
Uh-huh.
and
Felt like that.
it's like, oh, this is awful. Like I need to either go in or out. Why am I in the middle?
Mm.
Like, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I,
It was not
I've
good.
I've had 3 really bad trips on weed that were just as bad as any bad trip.
Oh yeah,
They weren't like as visually overwhelming. Like it wasn't as, I don't know how to describe it, like as environmentally overwhelming, but just internally
yeah,
was as terrible as any bad trip.
yeah.
It's really weird. I don't know how to account for it because that's out of like hundreds of sessions, just 3 times. But it can
Hundreds,
definitely
really? Or are
happen.
we talking thousands?
Probably thousands. I don't know. We could do the math. More than 1,000, let's say that.
For sure.
Yeah. Uh. Anyway, dude.
How's the Omicron? New York.
Dude, it's I might have a better sense in a couple of days if I fucking get it. I was just exposed to somebody who has what I assume is Omicron. I don't know. They had COVID. So I'm quarantining for a few days before, and then taking a test at the best time to take a test to see if I've got it.
Yeah.
But I've just been super tired for the last few days. I don't know if that's because I'm on Christmas break or I think my body's fighting it, um,
Hmm.
which would be kind of great
Good.
to get some of that natural immunity without getting infected.
Totally. I'm like jealous a little bit of like people that have gotten Omicron
Dude,
lately.
when I heard that like preliminary reports were showing that people weren't like losing their smell or taste,
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, give it to me. Like I don't
Yeah.
care. That was like my biggest concern is I don't want to lose my taste because I know someone who had lost their taste so far permanently. Like
Dude,
they've regained a little bit, but it's been almost a year.
I know someone that got like OG COVID before vaccines were around.
Yes.
They were together. They were in China working. One of the guys, his lungs are permanently damaged. No
That's
cardio,
awful.
destroyed.
That was
Terrible.
awful.
And he's an older guy, and his partner, his business partner, every single thing he eats, not like this according to him, no joke, says it literally tastes like shit. Like actual
That
like
is
eating
terrible.
big dumps. and
That's disgusting, dude. Holy shit.
they've had
I
it
haven't heard
for
that.
over a year, you know.
Damn.
'Cause they
Yeah,
were like
it's taken
literally
an
in
emotional
China doing
toll.
trades. Like they were like,
This this person I'm referring to like dealt with depression because of it, because it's
oh
just
yeah,
awful. Like eating is no longer a pleasurable activity.
oh, that's all I live for these days is eating good
For
food.
real, dude. For real.
Eating good
So
food. That's it.
anyway, then my little nephew got it, like picked it up from his sister, and he apparently couldn't taste anything yesterday. So then I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. My I had uh my sister's kids all got it and she and her husband didn't. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
hopefully,
think I will. I'd be more surprised if I got it than if I didn't,
yeah.
because, vaccine and all that. Um, but bro, yeah, this Omicron. So we just dive into the weird.
Yeah,
Let's do
let's
it.
do it. This variant, this disease that was most likely produced by United States government. I still laugh at the idea that uh allegedly you and I are the only like pandemicers that are down for the vaccine.
Yeah, totally in support. Like even the idea that, for the sake of argument, that Omicron is like a bio weapon, let's say, to put it
Lightly.
very negatively. Like, even then I'm like, oh, whatever, give it to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
Like,
sure. Let's go for it.
because yeah, my working theory is that the goal is fuck over the Chinese Olympics.
Yeah.
We set up China for this, what would otherwise be a great propaganda opportunity, basically ensured that they would be rewarded the Olympics for 2022. We talked about this, that like I think there were two other countries, like European countries, that were in the running and they backed out for different reasons. So it was just China and Kazakhstan for 22,
Right.
and China won. Also, by the way, when they awarded LA 2024 Summer Olympics, for the first time ever, they simultaneously awarded Paris 2028. They awarded two at the same time.
Hmm.
So, um, you know, for what it's worth. So, what normally would be a great propaganda opportunity for China, and even within the context of the pandemic, a great opportunity to show how successful the zero tolerance or the zero case approach has been. Instead, it's looking to be they're getting fucked. Like they have more cases now than ever since March 2020.
Yeah.
Like when this thing really, when they after they went on lockdown and the world woke up to what was about to happen, like it's still only a couple hundred cases, at least like
That's
I
like
think on Friday or something.
yeah, it's like the amount of cases that like Cheyenne, Wyoming has or something. Like it's just like totally negligible, but like you said, their approach was zero and they were at zero for like a while.
They've had almost no cases
Yeah.
since March 2020. And so what's happening is now there's a very interesting consequence to that, which is almost no one in mainland China has natural immunity.
Mm,
And that, in addition to the fact that their vaccines aren't that great against some of these variants.
right.
So their vaccines aren't as good as some other ones out there. And their entire population virtually has no natural immunity. And so this thing could potentially just fly through China like mad, because there's been nothing like it during the pandemic. Like they're saying it's not, can't even describe it as a surge. Like New York,
Dude.
Paris, London, they're all breaking pandemic records
Didn't
with
New
new
York have like
cases.
100,000 cases in a day or something like
They
that?
had 50,000 on New Year's Eve reported.
Well,
Um,
what do you mean Christmas Eve?
yeah, that's what I mean. Christmas Eve.
We haven't
Uh,
traveled in time yet.
I
We're
can only
working on it.
foretell the future so much.
It's gonna be
Um,
55.
uh, so yeah, it's just an insane amount. Like they're saying 1 in 10 Londoners, which is just a crazy thought. I don't know if that was like an estimated or what, but I read
Well, when you look
10
at
headlines
when you
for
look at the
for every article I read.
when you look at the hot spots, it's literally just Western countries that are like deep
It's
black red,
yeah.
and then like everywhere else is like, we're kind of negotiating. Like China's like has nothing, almost like Vietnam, nothing. You
So
know,
what's crazy is as we speak, like the majority of athletes are traveling to China. I assume. I know that some were already there, but I know that like most of the US's, for example, still has to be transported over there, and it's going to be through Delta, which is
sure.
like the recently just the new recently, what do you call it, uh assigned or awarded like
Partnership from the
official
Olympics. Yeah.
airline of the US Olympic team.
Yeah.
So they're going to fly out like at least half of the athletes at the end of January. And athletes are exactly like the group of people, the demographic that have been, at least noticeably hit. I mean, everyone's being hit, but like NBA was postponing games, the NFL as well. The NHL pulled out of the Chinese Olympics now because of Omicron. So, what's wild about it is that the first case was picked up in the US. I mean, the first case in the US was picked up from somebody who came in on a flight from South Africa on 11/22/2021, which of course is the anniversary of the JFK assassination. It's the anniversary of the inaugural flight across the Pacific of Pan Am. And also, by the way, it's the date that the international body that oversees World Expos was formed.
We haven't talked about that ever.
No. Um, so yeah, talk about a repeat of history or
Yeah.
a rhyme.
So essentially, it's like uh, whether it was deliberate or capitalized on as basically like when we dropped the bomb on Japan.
Yeah, so think about exactly. So across a transatlantic flight to deliver this variant to the US, at least is more than likely already here, but as far as like official numbers and reporting
News release.
first, yeah, and now it's going to skip across the other pond, the Pacific, on flights going into China. I mean, it's already in China, but just symbolically, you have incoming on 11/22 across the Atlantic and then outgoing across the Pacific for the Olympics. And if you remember, the 1964 Tokyo Olympics was the first television program that was broadcast via satellite. The first transmission period was JFK's assassination news going across the Pacific to Japan on 11/22. But then the first program was the Tokyo Olympics, and it was broadcast across the Pacific and then relayed like to the US and then relayed again across the Atlantic to Europe. So it unified the two hemispheres across the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean, and it was the broadcast of the Olympics. So China was poised to have, like, we've known for weeks that they weren't going to have international spectators because of the pandemic. But now my guess is because of Omicron, they're not even going to have domestic spectators, or if they do, it's going to be a super spreader event. So their zero case policy is coming back to bite them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a problem for them for some time, because even if in these vaccinated countries that have been letting the pandemic semi run its course, um, you have all these other populations that don't have the vaccine yet that are going to continue to produce variants of the virus. And so even if these countries that are vaccinated and have a lot of natural immunity come back online and overcome the pandemic, so to speak, you're going to have other parts of the world producing variants. And so China is going to have to decide, do they stay on lockdown every time there's a little bit of a surge? And do they continue with this zero case policy? Or do they finally concede and approach the pandemic like the rest of the world?
Yeah, man.
Meanwhile, the Olympics are fucked.
Yeah, well, I don't give a shit about that. I hate the Olympics, but I kind of wanted to see like a big, sick ass Chinese Emperor Xi Olympics.
Dude, what's crazy is he's known sort of as like the what do they call him? Like the Olympics. Fucking, I want to call him emperor because you always call him emperor.
I know.
President. He's not a prime minister. President Xi.
Yeah. I'd prefer demigod.
He was heavily involved in the 2008 Beijing Olympics. And so, like, being president now, having tons of experience with the Olympics, again, it was going to be this great opportunity.
Yeah.
And instead, like, the rug's been pulled out from under them.
Well, and also, like, their history with Japan and just, yeah, very terrible, disturbing history with Japan, and having Japan be 2020, so to speak.
Yeah.
And like it was sort of, as numbers were kind of like diving and China had like really contained it. It's like, okay, we're going to do the Olympics right. Like we're going to be bigger and better. We're not going to have weird fake digital fans and like no sound and like postponement. It's like we're going to just show like just the efficacy of the Chinese government, and we're going to blow it out of the water. And it's like, nope, here's Omicron.
Omicron. Yeah.
See ya. Even though it was in line to be called variant G. I don't know how to pronounce it in Greek, but we skipped over that.
That's so crazy.
We skipped over that because I don't know. I wonder why.
They acknowledged, I think, specifically because it's, they avoid, I don't know how they put it, but like they avoid labeling that would have
xenophobic outcomes.
Or just that are like, too, again, I don't remember the wording, but like too related to things that are culturally out there.
Yeah, well, what about
and so the
R&B star Omarion? Got the short end of the stick because now everyone's DMing Omarion that Omicron ruined their summer.
No
their
publicity is bad publicity. He got hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and going back to like Christmas, the Christmas timing of all this, like last season we broke down some of the broadcasting history of like inaugural broadcasts or telecommunications moments that revolve around Christmas. I should pull it up, but for instance, you have like the very first human message that was relayed from space was Eisenhower giving a Christmas message in, what was it, 1958 or 1957. And So that was with a telecommunications satellite, but because it was recorded and then transmitted again, it's also like a broadcast, and it was broadcast through radio uh, to the public. Um, Before that, in 1920, so now 101 years ago, but as of last year, it was the 100-year anniversary of the first civilian radio broadcast in Germany on December 22nd. And it was a Christmas program, a Christmas
Mm.
concert. Um, Television broadcasting began in Soviet occupied East Germany on December 21, 1952.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, we highlighted last year, Christmas Day was this inaugural moment for direct to streaming big studio film release with WW84 by AT&T, which also experienced this domestic terror act
Mm-hmm.
of this exploded RV outside of an AT&T building in
Which,
Nashville.
just by the way, no one talks about at all ever.
No.
So I don't know if that was like a failed mission or if it like was supposed to be swept and brushed under the rug, but it definitely, well, shouldn't say definitely, but like
It was a
it,
huge explosion.
it was crazy. Even if it wasn't a psyop, which it definitely was. Like the fact that we don't even like talk about it. It's like Christmas Day. This dude in an RV drove in front of a AT&T building, and what was he was like broadcasting a message, right, to like get people out. So like it wasn't. I mean, I could
Yeah.
be wrong on that, but it like wasn't
No, he
trying to
did.
hurt people ish, I guess. But like what why like what are we doing?
Yeah. They've always maintained, and I don't know how they would know this, especially so quickly, but from the beginning they maintained that like it wasn't politically motivated. They said
Yeah,
it was some kind of personal beef that he had. I think
yeah,
him or his father
his
had worked for
father.
AT&T or
Yeah.
Bell. Um,
Which like why even bring that up? Like Bell. Like, oh yeah, my father worked for Bell, this company that doesn't exist in that form anymore, that probably most people don't even know what you're referring to. Like, I don't know.
so yeah, that was Christmas Day also. Um, not all these are on Christmas Day per se, but they're all between the 21st and the 25th of December.
Yeah.
And they're all these inaugural moments for broadcasting and telecommunications.
Yeah. Had one of the largest franchises in cinema history drop, you know, Matrix on the
Oh
21st,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was the same day Biden finally addressed the nation about Omicron.
Yeah.
And he had been like criticized for waiting so long. Winter solstice 2021, Omicron variant, and the Matrix, which spoiler,
Was it 2021 or did Matrix come out on the
it was the
12th?
21st,
It was the
12,
21st.
21, 21.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, which spoiler has a scene where the what they call bots
Yeah.
are turned into bombs.
Yeah.
It's a very like at the end they bring in this zombie element. They're not
Yeah.
literally zombies, but it's very like zombie movie feel
Yeah.
when basically all these people in this new version of the Matrix start coming after the good guys and are just like sacrificing themselves to try to stop them from escaping.
They start
And they
jumping out of buildings.
start suiciding onto their little like vehicle caravan.
Yeah.
And it's really weird, but
I hate
when
bots.
they said they said that line like he's turning bots into bombs. I just thought about the Omicron
Yeah.
variant going in, and instead of delivering a nuclear bomb on a B-29, it's Omicron on planes transmitted through humans. And I don't know if we've talked about like the crazy resonance between nuclear energy, which is released by the splitting of the nucleus of an atom, and modern or contemporary bioweaponry, which now, thanks to CRISPR technology and things like it, we're able to cleave the nuclear material of viruses and modify them and release viral effects upon
Payloads.
populations. Yeah. And so like it's just so insane that you've got this atomic component, subatomic, and then also this biological parallel. And by the way, the act of splitting the atom, which is called fission, like that was borrowed from biology. Fission meant like the splitting of a cell into two cells. And they used that word and applied it in what is now nuclear physics to describe the splitting of the atom. So it's like there's this very close association between the splitting of a cell and the splitting of the atom, and the effects in both cases can be devastating.
Right.
Just so gnarly.
Yeah. Hang on one sec. I gotta head to the
Cool.
head. Yo.
Feel better?
Yeah. It's like
Um, yeah, so to tie it in with like just more of the history of broadcasting, I guess. I've been thinking about how there's I don't know for some reason I cannot figure out when it started, but there's a Christmas broadcast from the Pope, and there's also an annual Christmas address from the Queen in the UK. So you have another like parallel between monarchy, specifically British, um, the church, the Pope, and broadcasting events, and then like the American version, which is just fucking insane always, which has like, you know, satellites and much more focused on just like progress and science.
So was the first one from the Pope like 1959?
No, that was a big one for some reason, and I don't know why, because that one like pops up if you search for it. But there was also a really big one in 1942, and it's notable among other things for him having called out the activity of the Nazis, and because they were receiving reports from parishioners in Poland that the Poles and specifically the Jews were being rounded up by the Nazis. This is 1942. For some reason, what you read about it, it's always like talks about how it's contested, like how significant that was. I don't know why that's always the immediate follow up. It blew my mind that it was even being called out that early, let alone by a voice that was so impactful
Well, especially
globally.
because, like, I mean, not to get too crazy here, but like Catholics historically haven't really liked Jews. like,
Yeah.
like, it's been kind of a touchy subject.
Yeah. I don't know is as the um I don't know much about the official Catholic position regarding the Jews. I know that certainly in Catholic nations they've been terribly treated. Um Driven out of Spain in the 1200s for instance. Um but yeah, so like Marconi who's attributed with the invention of the radio in like 1931
Right
officially
there.
set up this Vatican radio
Yeah.
for the Vatican, and it just grew over the years. Which again, at some point they added a whole bunch. They added like 10 stations, and they had this big like technological upgrade, and that was also on Christmas Day. Um, so just repeatedly throughout modern history, with the history of broadcasting and telecommunications, a lot of it has revolves around Christmas, and you can understand why from a practical standpoint. Since people are in their homes, they're tuned
Chilling. Yeah.
into their TV or their radio and whatnot.
Wait,
Um,
what is this?
yeah.
What is this?
Read it, bro.
Non ionizing radiation from the site. I mean,
You
is
want to
that
read
like
it?
the Santa Maria di Galleria transmitter site? So that I guess that's the site where the Vatican radio is transmitted. Is the subject of a dispute between the station and some local residents who claim non ionizing radiation from the site has affected their health. I mean, I know there's like a lot of people that get kind of crazy with like, I shouldn't say crazy. They're probably all right that like these towers are like 5G tower style are causing health issues. But so yeah, I
What
guess
does it
there's
say if you click on that link for like affected their health?
a microwave. So it looks
Oh, I
like
thought I was hoping it would be specific to the Vatican.
no, but yeah, I don't know. It's like I mean, like I'm not a scientist. I don't know shit about any of this shit,
Dude,
which is
here,
problematic, but like I don't know, like yeah, it probably is. like why wouldn't it?
you know, it's weird. I actually reported at a conference in college on it was somebody else's research, but it was the effect of radio waves on like
yeah.
developing chicken embryos.
Dude, I think I remember we talked about that. Like
Jeez. My life is so weird, dude. I always forget like shit that I didn't remember. I forgot I was in a band in high school and shit.
oh yeah, I was in two bands and I forget all the time. I forget that I even know how to play bass. I mean, I probably don't anymore, but I could
Is
throw
that
out a
Mormon mission, dude? I tell you, erased our
dude,
past
dude. Yeah,
through trauma.
I don't even want to go there, but yes. Look at this.
So yeah, what's up?
Vatican radio broadcasts the news that Poles and Jews were being rounded up and forced into ghettos. This was 1931.
No, that was
How was that even?
1942.
Oh,
The Vatican
oh, set
radio
up
was
in
set up in
31. Gotcha.
1931.
I was like, that
Yeah,
doesn't make sense. Okay.
yeah. Um, and Marconi, he's Italian, but his companies are like British and American.
Yeah.
So, you know, and for those nations, radio was like the development of radio was hugely accelerated by World War One.
Right.
Um, but here's another wild
Wait, he
correspondence,
got a
man.
Nobel Prize.
Yeah, I mean, he invented radio. Radio fucking changed
The world.
everything, man. Like that's radio is the birth of mass communication, like or not mass communication, because you had things like newspaper and shit before that, but broadcasting, like where you could one person could send out a signal that can be picked up by thousands and thousands of people.
Wow.
And yeah, he developed wireless telegraphy. So it's really crazy, but the telegraph basically turned into radio, which turned into television. Like we think of television more like film just because it's visual, but
Mm-hmm.
technically it's much more similar to radio.
Radio waves being broadcast. Or it
Yeah.
was. Not, it's not anymore, right?
It
Like
it still
streaming
exists.
through. But I just mean
There's
like internet
by and
streaming.
large, yeah, it's been taken over, but by satellite and cable. Um, Cable was the first big revolution because even though it was now back onto the ground, like it could go much farther and was more reliable um, and also could deliver a lot more signal, like bandwidth.
Yeah.
Um, so cable was a big revolution in television, and then satellite was the next big one. Reverse that, maybe. But anyway, like commercial satellite television was the next big one because commercial broadcast or satellite broadcasting in general, of course, was we've been talking about it was earlier, but and that again, just back to spewing tons of information, is also related to the Olympics through 1984, which is when AT&T was broken up into the 22 baby bells, and satellite television broadcasting started taking over land-based broadcasting. So it was still largely
Well,
broadcast locally with what they call terrestrial broadcasting, but you were, nationally and further using satellites, which could bypass that system.
but also the Berlin Olympics, like, uh, and what was it, 39?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Or 1936.
36. Yeah, like, uh, just using like innovation in uh visual medium, using German broadcasting to like push forward propaganda, like,
Yeah. New form of
and
propaganda.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
The
it's funny
Olympics.
because like the Olympics, like I don't know, I just feel like people don't really care about it anymore. But yeah, it's still kind of like it's, I don't know, still kind
I
of
think in,
central to like innovation,
yeah.
and like it's still a global event, and it is broadcast everywhere, and people care about it when it happens, but also like no one really gives a shit.
I I I know what you mean, sort of, but at the same time, like you said, if you think about it in terms of a global event, there aren't many of those.
No.
Like FIFA,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know what the
way bigger. I feel like the World Cup probably gets more views than the Olympics.
let's find out.
Yeah.
That's actually
I would be willing to bet that F1 gets more views than the Olympics does.
I don't think so.
Mm, I don't know.
I
Let's
The
see.
Olympics may be more popular than you realize.
Maybe. I haven't watched the Olympics in years. I hate them. They're dumb. They're stupid. I don't give a shit. Sometimes I watch wrestling. That's it. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe. But the World Cup definitely is bigger than the Olympics. And by
Let's see.
definitely, I mean I just feel it in my heart that it is. Yeah, what are you even goggling?
So yeah, a very quick Google search. Damn. So according to FIFA, the World Cup final between France and Croatia in 2018 had an average live audience of 517 million. That's so many.
That is a lot of people, but also not really. I mean, what we got?
It's more than the entire population of the US
Yeah, but we got
by a
8
lot.
billion people in the world.
Whoops. Yeah, but for like average number of viewers, so at any given time, 500 million, and that doesn't account for that's not individuals. That's just TVs showing it. So that's like all bars, houses where like
Right.
5 to 10 people are watching together. So, well, that's not true. It says viewers. So it must be an estimated amount of viewers. So I take that all back. Um,
Well, here's a list of the most watched television broadcasts of all time.
what is it?
Soccer,
Why was that? Oh, 2020.
Rio Paralympics. What? London summer, Rio summer, Russia
Yeah, so the
FIFA,
Olympics are definitely up there.
Beijing. I mean, it's mostly Olympics and soccer. Beijing Olympics, Atlanta Olympics, Sydney Olympics, Athens Olympics, France, FIFA.
Yeah, and then you have to consider like
And
total number.
Michael Jackson Memorial Service. Let's go.
That makes total sense as
It
well.
definitely does. That's so. I mean, it does make sense that the Olympics are the most watched things ever, besides the European 2020 European Football Championship.
Everyone was in their house.
Yeah, it's just like wow,
What month?
by
June,
over
July.
1 billion people.
Damn. Like individual viewers at some point.
But it's basically
And
just the Olympics.
and that must be how they're counting the Olympics too. Like it's very unlikely. I can't imagine that there are many moments, if any at all, in the Olympics that had as many as what would watch a FIFA final. But if you count like number of people who tune into the Olympics
Dude.
at some point,
Dude, hold on.
what's up?
Just watch this. Okay, so we're going football, Olympic, football, Olympic, football, cricket, memorial service for Michael Jackson, Olympic. Yeah, boxing, Olympic.
Dang, but look at that.
Royal,
Look at that, like
royal funeral of
97
Princess Diana.
Diana. Damn.
Terrorist attack, September 11th.
What? They have that there?
Association
What
football.
the fuck?
Concert, royal wedding, Olympic, concert.
Dude,
Boxing.
you know what's crazy though? You just touched on boxing up ahead, but like
Yeah.
look at that. Muhammad Ali versus who?
Larry Holmes.
But Leon Spinks is before. Oh, there's a lot of them that are around 2 billion.
Oh yeah, Muhammad Ali.
Dude, that's so crazy because that was 1978. Like, is there anything above that was from
Not even close.
even the 80s?
Not even close. It's all streaming era.
The oldest thing before that is like 96 and 98.
Which was FIFA or Olympics.
And then all the rest of however many that is, probably 25 to 30, biggest number of viewers of a broadcast are all in the 2000s. And then you get 1978 Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali. That's crazy. That
84
shows you how
Olympics.
much of an international celebrity he was.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that's not even like his like epic fight either. It's just like it wasn't
really
Rumble
wild,
in the
dude.
Jungle or anything like that. Muhammad Ali Memorial Service. Man, he's got like 4.
Dude, he's so tight.
Yeah, absolutely. Goat. Absolute goat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sydney New Year's. Come on. Oh wait, that was no. Never mind. Wow, Baywatch. Final episode of Baywatch is in. Dude, we're so dumb. Prince
You and
Harry,
me, or all of us?
hell,
Yes.
everyone. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle,
Okay, so
Live Aid back to back. This is kind of funny because like I feel like we've talked about like besides like the boxing matches, we've pretty much talked about every single one of these events in like a
even each
roundabout
kind of
way.
event.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the type of event.
yeah, like royal weddings, like obviously I guess not cricket because I don't know anything about cricket, but
It's insane how much we like sports. And you like sports
gladiators.
and the news have driven broadcasting and like whether it's radio, mostly radio and television, from their inception have been intimately tied in with news and sports. And that's basically what you get there with like the funeral and the terrorist attack. They're these moments of death, and you know, interspersed between mostly huge international sporting events. Um, so
But
it's sort of like celebrations of life and celebrations of death, or
yeah,
just
but also when you like
consumption of.
take into consideration like the population of the globe, like I mean this is crazy. Like 1/5 of the total population of the world was watching the Apollo 11 moon landing.
Dang. This is another JFK
connection
because they named all this the Kennedy Center and the what do you call the place where they launch? I don't know. They named it after Kennedy and the biggest airport after Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean they did.
So
Boxer
wild.
Muhammad Ali drew a record global television audience during 1970s to the 1980s. Rumble in the Jungle fight against George Foreman, Thrill in Manila, Joe Frazier, Leon Sparks, Last Hurrah ranged between 1 billion and 2 billion people.
Dude, look what the next line says.
The 1996 Summer Olympics opening ceremony where Muhammad Ali lit the torch was watched by 3.5 billion.
That's a lot.
I don't know if you could pull those numbers anymore.
Dude, that's fucking insane. So I take back what I said about a given moment within the Olympics. Damn, that's so many people, dude.
I mean, that's half the earth.
Yeah, dude. So the fact that we're fucking over China's opportunity.
Yeah, the funeral of Princess Di was watched by an estimated 2 billion people.
Wow.
Making it the all-time most watched royal event on live television in the world, and we definitely know that she was murdered by the queen, allegedly in Minecraft. But like, definitely. That's insane. We need to do an episode on that.
Dude, that's one of those like I remember hearing the news that she died. I didn't even know. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I didn't watch it but like I remember when it was just like
that. All over the news.
I mean,
every
my
channel.
mom was like devastated by it.
Yeah. Same with I
watched the video of the fucking going into the tunnel. I remember that shit. Just like I remember Aaliyah crashing in her plane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely remember Princess Di and Michael Jackson dying, and just how, even though neither of them meant much to me in my like child life otherwise. Just the an understanding of the impact of the news on
It's
everybody.
insane.
It's just like ingrained in me.
Yeah.
So and you have, what's his name? Michael McLean or something?
What? What are you
The
talking about?
guy the guy from fucking Die Hard.
Keep going. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
You see the Die Hard Christmas shit?
I mean, I've
Okay,
seen
dude.
Die Hard, and I know it's a Christmas movie.
Okay, so yeah, back to Christmas, right? So I don't remember the dude's first name, something McLean, the
Michael
character that
McLean's a
Bruce
singer.
Willis, Bruce Willis, his character. Uh, Somebody posted on Reddit and reminded me that the narrative takes place on like Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
So he averts this like
John McClane.
big terrorist attack, John McClane.
At
Okay, and so
Nakatomi Towers, fake building in Los Angeles.
yeah, so the real building is called Fox Plaza.
Yep.
And it had just been built a few years before. In 1985 it was completed, I believe. And this was released in 1988, same year as
Mm-hmm.
Akira, which takes place in a nuclear dystopia in Tokyo that has a 2020 Olympics with a singularity event in the Olympic Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Also in 1988, Die Hard was released, and it takes place in this Fox Plaza, which in the film it's named after like a fictional Japanese conglomerate.
Yeah.
So and this building in real life is in Century City, Los Angeles, which is one of the like epicenters of Hollywood. You've got Fox Studios right there, and I think another big one.
It's also the most sterile, like
Yeah,
non-soul, non-vibe neighborhood in all of Los Angeles.
100% agree, dude.
It's just like, what is this place? Oh, it's just buildings.
It's like, oh, it's a studio.
It's literally just
it's a
buildings
giant
and
Hollywood studio
corporations.
lot.
It's so whack, but kind of tight.
Yeah. So, dude, this building is fucking. It's located in between two sets of twin towers that we've talked about before.
Many times.
There's like there. There's the Century Plaza Tower is one of them's
You
called,
can kind of see it here. Those are the two towers right there.
and then there's another set at the other end of that avenue called or boulevard called Avenue of the Stars or something.
Yeah.
And these two sets of twin towers were built by Minoru Yamasaki,
Yep.
who built the World Trade Center twin towers, and these ones are modeled after them, but they're 44 stories each, and they're triangles instead of squares. And then the other ones, which were built, I believe, a few years before, they're residential towers, and they were built by I.M. Pei. So you've got a Japanese American architect, a Chinese American architect, two sets of twin towers along this Avenue of the Stars, and in the middle, or just not smack dab in the middle, but in between, you've got this Fox Plaza, which was the site of this film that I assume was also released around Christmas, if not on Christmas Day. Die Hard. But and here's the other thing: the architect of the Fox Plaza
I.M. did the fucking Louvre pyramid.
Yeah, yeah. And the guy who did the Fox Plaza, this building in Die Hard, is the same. That was his last project. He's the same guy that did the pyramid in San Francisco, which is centrally featured in at the end of the Matrix movie, the new one that just came out around Christmas time. Dude. And here's the other thing, dude. In real life, in this Fox Plaza, after he was president, after he left public office, Ronald Reagan used uh, that his office was in the Fox Plaza
Plaza.
building.
Yeah.
So the guy who what do you call it? They not initiate or inaugurate, but I don't remember the official word, but he kicked off the 1984 Olympics. The president had his offices in this building, and it's right on Olympic Boulevard, West Olympic
Yep.
Boulevard, in the city that hosted the Olympics in 1984. So crazy, dude. That motherfucker, he sold neoliberalism so well.
Yes. Let's see. What's his
He's
name?
literally like, let's get an actor to fucking globalize the economy,
Ugh.
fuck over people of color at home,
Always.
deindustrialize our country.
The last building, William Pereira? Chicago. Classic Chicago boy. Oh, yeah. Here's the Transamerica. I don't know how to. I can't remember how to do. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That fucker.
Transamerica Pyramid.
It's a very tight building. Not going to lie.
It's pretty tight. Is it
And
still the tallest in San Fran?
no, this one is. And this is the dumbest building ever. And it's a fucking giant dildo.
Chode.
Thank you, Salesforce.
Salesforce Tower.
It's like the most ass building ever.
How old is it?
It's new.
Yeah, because it's got that steel and glass
2018.
style.
Yeah.
Glass and steel.
It's whack as shit, and everyone hates it in the city, but, you know, you just...
How many floors?
Let's see. 1,070 feet. I don't know how many floors.
Should be in the, like, below the picture.
61. Yeah, like, no respect for the occult. No respect for tradition. Just ass. It's so whack. Like...
It's like a big old cigar.
Dude, it's... No, it sucks, man. Everyone hates it, too. Like... It's just a fucking giant dumb boner in the middle of the city. Yeah, not cool, bro.
Yeah, that is ugly.
Whoever the architect is, suck our farts. This thing is way tighter. 48, futurist, skyscraper, was so sick. Tallest building until Dum.
Chode. Bone.
Let's see.
Oh, and they're building another set of twin towers right there in Century City. They're also going to be 44 stories. And these buildings in Century City, those are what like defines the landscape. Like there's another one or two like pretty tall single towers that have been built since those twin towers, but
yeah,
like it defines the skyline of West Hollywood.
dude, like this person designed some sick ass buildings. This pyramid, this library, this whatever the fuck that is, another library, so sick.
Didn't he build JFK's something related to JFK? So for Kennedy.
I don't know, but he did he had some of his earliest architectural experience helping to draft the master plan for the 1933 A Century for Progress at the Chicago World's Fair.
Wow, he's been operating for a long time.
Not seeing any JFK stuff.
William Pereira.
Hang on. I gotta grab something real quick.
Cool.
What's up? This guy's got a lot of university plans. USC. Pepperdine. University of Irvine. Like, I feel like there's just not even architects like this anymore.
You there?
Yeah. I was just saying, like, so this guy, he's just like designed so much stuff outside of libraries, like campus plans for USC, Pepperdine, Irvine, and I just like I feel like there's just not really architects anymore that just do like I just feel like there's not architects anymore. Like, I know there are, but like it just seems like it's like mostly
Yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know. Are there like I think you throw this shit in a
There
computer and
must
they build.
be.
No, obviously there are. I mean, there's buildings going up all the time, but I just think there's not like planning like this anymore.
Like, I wonder who's doing, if we looked at who's doing the new Twin Tower development in Century City.
Yeah, how would I look that up?
News, let's
Century
see.
City Twin Towers. Well, those are the old ones, the 44s. Dude, I was like watching TikTok and there was some girl on there that was like she does architectural TikToks. But she was like shitting on this building in Seattle, which was when I used to live in Seattle, and it was one of my favorite buildings there was. It's like the coolest, weirdest building ever. And she's like, she wasn't like personally shitting on it, but she was saying like how there was just such a negative response and how it's ugly and all this shit. And I'm like, what? That's like my favorite building. And then I found out it was Monaro that built it.
Hell yeah.
It's the one that
Hell
like
yeah.
flares at here. Let me find it actually.
So think about the fact that Minoru built these twin towers in Century City that are also like really close to West Olympic
Yeah,
Boulevard.
it's this building.
And he built
Like how? Okay,
this.
sorry, real quick to interrupt.
Yeah,
How could you look at that and be like,
dude,
oh,
that is
it's just an
sick.
ugly building? It's like no, it's actually a perfect building. Like it. Not only is it just insane to look at, and I've been in that building many times, and when you walk in, it's like terrifying because there's this huge overhang of concrete. So it's just incredible. It's an incredible feat of
Dude,
physics, but
it
also it's like, oh, let's take up as little space as we can down here. So we have pedestrian, street access, and then we expand it in the air and just blast it up. And it's so sick. Like,
that's
I
really
love
wild.
this building.
It's basically like a smaller version of one of the twin towers,
Yes.
and
But also, you
it's
get extra space for living
outside, yeah.
underneath. Like,
And
look
it
at
shows
this.
you how much. It shows you how. Wow, that's yeah. It
Incredible.
looks like it's defying gravity.
It is.
It's It shows you how that type of construction is all centered around that steel core.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he was building that. So he built these twin tower, smaller version of the twin towers in Century City next to the West Olympic Boulevard.
Yeah.
He built the 1962 Science Center for the World's Fair in Seattle. He built an airport in Saudi Arabia for the Bin Laden group,
Classic.
and he built the Twin Towers, which so
Well, and
you bring that all together,
aren't
and you've
these
got
things for a World's Fair? Or
yeah,
no?
that's what I just mentioned. 1962,
That's
right?
62,
World's
right?
Fair.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
so, all good. So World's Fair, Olympics, 9/11, and like transport, airport. Uh,
Oh my god,
yeah,
that's the coolest
whatever.
picture ever.
Popping his head out of one of the twin towers. Peekaboo.
Dude, his shit smacks, dude. I love his architecture rules. Japanese American, like in the Middle East, building an airport.
Yeah, so I remember who I was thinking of when I was trying to remember who built the JFK Center for Performing Arts. It was Edward Durrell or Durrell Stone.
Wait, sorry, say that again.
Edward Durrell Stone.
Come on, what the hell?
Rreol.
It's basically
So
the
I looked him
same
up.
type of
Yeah,
architecture.
yeah. I looked him up because I had a bus stop at the through the University of Albany, New York, and the architecture reminded me of Minoru. So I looked him
Wow,
up.
that stuff's great.
He was working at the same time. It's like a picture of him doing a model of NASA Electronics Research Center in 1964.
Wow.
And he also did the JFK Center for Performing Arts.
Where's that at?
DC, I assume. It's where they, let's see.
Museum of Modern Art, New York. John F. Kennedy Center, yeah, in D.C. Okay, yeah. Wow. But like, yeah,
It just shows you how stratified society is, and like if you make it to the top, you fucking make it.
make it to, yeah,
Doesn't
you're good
matter
to
if it's
go.
sports, architecture, any creative art, politics. Like it is such a small community of people at that level.
Dude, is this the no, never mind. I thought that was like an AT&T building for a second, but
Hmm. Yeah, that dude also did Radio City Music Hall for the Rockefeller Center.
like does that
So,
okay, so like
dude, and also back to
who
I.M. Pei,
okay,
who
yeah,
did the
sorry.
Louvre Pyramid and the other set of Twin Towers in Century City.
Yeah.
He also did the Bank of China Tower in Hong Kong,
Yeah.
which was the first skyscraper. Was it super tall skyscraper outside the U.S.? Might have been the first skyscraper outside the U.S.
Okay, but so like what? Oh,
Am
wow,
I talking about?
he's
I have
building the
no
Coke
fucking clue.
houses.
What's who?
The Coke houses, Carl Coke. Is that a Coke? Yeah, the Coke house.
Junior is it their son?
Um but like okay, so what is an equivalent of that today?
I have no idea, but I couldn't tell you. I could tell you almost nothing about architecture today, though, except that glass and steel's been the move for several years. It's taking over the skyline in New York
Yeah.
and London. Um,
But not even just like architecture, but just like kind of that level of like prestige. Like I feel like it's shifted so much because of the internet, because of social media, because of
well, we
streaming.
probably wouldn't know who any of these guys were at the time, though.
I
Like,
think you
if
would. because there
Like
was
you and
just
me?
yeah, because there was so much less information back then. Like I feel like if they were building a giant skyscraper in Los Angeles or they were building the Twin Towers, like that would be in the news of like Minoru Yamasaki, Japanese architect from Seattle, building the two largest, like it would be like a momentous occasion. But now it's like Kanye West just bought a $4.5 million
Okay,
piece of shit
so
house in Calabasas across from his ex-wife who hates him now, but really they work together on social media PR pushes all the time, and it's like, damn, this shit's fucking lame. Like I
who
would
is that?
rather see Kanye. He
Oh,
just go look up Kanye West just bought a $4.5 million house, which is chump change for him, obviously. And you look at it, and it looks like a turd ass Rambler from the '80s that like needs update. Like that's the news now. It's like Kanye West is buying this shitty
well,
ass house that he
I'll give you
made
an
that amount of
example.
money in a day, but it's because he's buying it across the street from his ex-wife Kim Kardashian, who is a billionaire that like everyone cares about apparently, and it's a bummer. Like, look at this dumbass house. And like again, 4.5 million is a ton of money for us, but for him, it's like nothing. This is like what's making is like Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, and like this house is so doo doo ass. Like, I mean, they're not really like look what like curtains on a steel runner. Like this kitchen is from '93. Like this is what we're talking about because it's by his ex-wife. Look at that. Like I've been in. Yeah, like this.
The
This
bachelor
is
pad, bro.
look a mirrored closet sliding door with
That's all he
like
needs.
carpet and tile.
It's like
But like
when
this is the
Tony
news.
Soprano splits up with his wife, dude, and he moves into a shitty house.
I mean,
I just watched that finally.
true. But that's what I'm saying. Like we don't.
That's what divorce looks like, dog.
True, deaf.
Note it down.
But like you know what I'm saying is like we don't
Look
like
look at the size of his alimony payments, then you won't feel so.
right.
It'll make a lot more sense.
But like why like I don't know. It's just like
Okay, so
this
I'll
is
give you
the
an
news.
example of like Calatrava,
Wait.
the Spanish architect.
Okay.
An example of a living architect that's operating on the level of these guys that we're looking at. He did the Oculus at the World Trade Center. He's doing a Orthodox church there as well. He's done a bunch of stuff in Europe that's dope.
And guess
Um,
what? No one's ever heard of him.
they have. I
No.
think I'm starting to think it's like the Olympics, bro. You may not watch the Olympics, but people do. And you may not know architects, but somebody does.
Frank Gehry's the last architect I've heard of.
I think he's still alive, isn't
No,
he?
he is, but like, I
Same with
mean,
Ian Pei. He's still alive. I know he's getting old. He's got to be really old. I don't know if he's working still.
I'm
Is
just
that one
saying
you were pointing out?
I'm just pointing out that these are the new like this is who's in the news. Like whatever Spanish
Well,
dude you just mentioned, he's not in the news. What's his name?
yeah, but I don't think people were like hero worshiping Minoru, dude. They
Oh,
should have
dude.
been.
I think they might have been.
I don't think so. I don't
I
think
mean, I
when has
have
an
no idea.
architect, except for like Gaudi, maybe. I assume Gaudi had like
Gehry.
big public.
I think Frank Gehry was the last one because they made like a documentary about him and he was
Yeah,
doing I don't know, whatever.
I think that
I'm
we're just
drunk
not
now, sorry.
tuned into
But
that
dude,
world.
what is like why is this like what?
It's the market, dude.
But we
He's
care
gonna
about this
renovate the
stuff
hell out of
because it's
that.
Kanye and it's by Kim. Kim
Speak
has
for yourself, dude.
she's got more influence than fucking Henry Kissinger ever had.
Well, not when it
Maybe
comes to
that.
killing human beings.
Not when it comes to killing over 1 million people in Indochina. Sorry.
Uh, all right. So back to Steve McQueen.
Who?
What's the dude's name?
The
John
driver or the
McClane.
designer? Oh, yes. Okay. Back to Die
John
Hard.
McClane, Die Hard. I wanted to highlight the fact that you have yet another a theme of an averted terror attack.
Yeah.
It's indirectly related to the Olympics being on this building built on Olympic Boulevard in LA right after the 1984 Olympics. That boulevard was named after the LA 32 Olympics, FYI. You've got the Japanese element with this fictional company that owns this tower. Released the same year that
German terrorists, which is like, so you've got
par for the
Japanese,
course.
German, Los Angeles.
And released at the same time that you have this Japanese film with the 2020 Olympic theme, the nuclear theme.
Yeah.
So, and then now we're experiencing like an Olympic year again upcoming. And potentially an event that symbolically or literally is an aversion of a nuclear war. It's the alternative to nuclear war, or to war itself, which would inevitably become nuclear.
Yeah.
Or not, dude, but just something to think about next time you watch Die Hard. Or The Matrix, which it's the same architect that built that building, the pyramid in San Francisco. I called the Omicron variant, dude. Can you just plug me for that?
Eric called the Omicron variant.
Thanks, man. I don't know if I have anything else to say today. Except cheers.
I mean, look, people.
Listen up.
If there's one message that we want to get through to you, it's that all of this matters intensely and all of it matters not at all.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So just fucking do whatever you want. And rock and roll.
Until next time.
Until we head to Nakatomi Towers and try and blow them up, allegedly in Minecraft. I've been told that if you say in Minecraft, you can say whatever you want. So whatever you need to say,
say it in Minecraft.
Say it in Minecraft, and we're good to go.
On that note, dude.
Ciao.
Okay. Good to stop recording.